Are you interviewing for a cabin crew position? In this video, I'll tell you the 9 toughest questions when you interview at the world's major airlines, along with tips on how to answer them. Hello, how are you? I'm Romulo Gutierrez. This is the Fly Deck Briefing Channel. I've been a recruiter and headhunter for 28 years. Working for airlines all over the world, I currently provide training for 45 different airlines across the globe. And if you're going to have an interview, pay close attention to these tips. The first question I've listed as the most difficult is, what sets a good flight attendant apart from a bad one? Airlines in North America, airlines in Oceania, in Asia, in the Middle East have been asking about this. What's the difference between a good flight attendant and a bad one? So many candidates end up giving very cliche answers, all very much the same. And the 2 points recruiters like to hear, here the rule of thumb is to answer carefully, and a short answer is much better than a long one. So the 2 important things are safety and customer experience. Safety and a good customer experience. So if they ask me that, I'd answer quickly. For example, I'm in an interview for Etihad, and they ask me, for you, what differentiates a good from a bad flight attendant? I could say, in my opinion, there are 2 factors. The first one is flight safety. The flight attendant is the cabin crew is one of the most important people responsible for flight safety. And the second point is meeting the customer's expectations and experiences. Those are the 2 points that separate good cabin crew service from bad cabin crew service. So I could go with that kind of answer. The second question I find difficult, and this second question is very common, which is the question, tell me a little about yourself. When a recruiter from any airline in the world asks this, they want you to consider 3 factors. First of all, that your answer doesn't exceed 3 minutes. In global aviation, the clock is one of the most important points. The second thing they want you to introduce yourself as a person. I'll give you an example of an answer. And third, that you have a good connection with the company. So, for example, I'm in an interview right now for United Airlines. And then they ask me that. I'll give a presentation. I'll say, hello, how are you? I'm Romulo Gutierrez. I'm 47 years old. I'm Brazilian. I live in Rio de Janeiro. My hobbies? It's important to talk about hobbies, personal activities, or watching a good series on TV. I like to practice stand-up paddleboarding, and I really enjoy interacting with people. Regarding my vocation as a flight attendant, bring your own vocation. I've always liked serving people. I've always liked helping others. And I also have a great passion for flying. Also important traits, I'm the kind of person who finishes everything I start. Now, say what connects you with the company. And the factor that connects me most with United is United, it optimizes its resources. It's a company that believes it's possible to deliver incredible efficiency, working with resources that aren't unlimited, but often with modest resources. Therefore, I'd like to be a flight attendant for United, and this is a brief presentation about myself. So this type of presentation is what's going to work. Third question, this one I find difficult. Tell me your weaknesses. Tell me your weaknesses. Before I move on to the answer and the other questions, I'm going to give you a tip. I've left in the description of this video and in the first comment my ebook, The 50 Mistakes That Fail Cabin Crew Members All Over the World. Sometimes you prepare so much, and just one of these mistakes I present in the ebook is enough to fail you. So check out the first comment, the video description, okay? To check out this amazing ebook that's going to help you. If you want to go straight to the website, it's www.flydeckbriefing.com/ebook. Now let's go to the third question. Tell me your weaknesses. Weaknesses? Never. You have to be real, truthful. It's no use making up weaknesses that you don't have. All companies apply personality tests as well. So it's a mistake to lie. State real weaknesses, but state weaknesses that don't interfere with the role of a cabin crew member, the daily life of a cabin crew member. I'm a distracted person. I'm someone who doesn't know how to manage crises. Those are weaknesses that don't connect to the role. And be careful not to mention weaknesses that go against the company. The German Lufthansa is a company that values sustainability very much. So I can't say that my weakness is wasting resources because it's a company that has a completely opposite view of that. So those are the things to watch out for. Fourth question out of the 8 that I'm going to give you in this video here. What motivates you to be a cabin crew member? What is your motivation for performing this role? So here, you have to speak from the heart. You have to let your heart speak at this moment. Of course, answering techniques can help, but if I were to speak from the heart, I'm a recruiter. I'm not cabin crew. I work on the ground. But if I let my heart speak, if I were a cabin crew member, I could say things like connecting people, making people smile, helping people meet, helping people do business, the dynamism of the role. So there's so much I could say, but an answer that comes from within. Because the recruiter is asking here about motivation. And motivation is the reasons. That leads you to love something. Okay. Although the role, the profession of cabin crew has a glamour, it has a respect, it has an admiration from global society, when I say I work for airlines around the world, and I'm not a person who flies for work, my work is on the ground, people already admire me. They already admire me, let alone if I were a flight attendant, a flight attendant. So it's important that something comes from the heart here. Shall we move on to the 5th question? In fact, pay attention now to the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th question. If you've watched up to this point in the video, write in the comments. I'm here to learn. And I'll know that you've made it this far. Before I continue, if you want live online consulting via Google Meet, where we can simulate an interview, train you for group dynamics, for the open day, any virtual stage, you can reach out at the link below, also in the description, and in the first comment of the video, okay? You can reach out there, you'll click on the link, you'll be directed to the page, you choose the number of sessions you want. The sessions are 90 minutes, live and online. There, you click, choose the number of sessions, say what you want to work on in these mentorships, write it there quickly. Then you're already directed to a calendar where you choose the day, the time for the appointment, make the payment through the Hotmart platform, which is the payment format accepted in more than 104 countries, okay? Super secure. And you already received the Google Meet link for the live and online mentorship sessions. You can go directly by also clicking on www.flydeckbriefing.com. You'll find this whole system. Or if you want to schedule via WhatsApp and talk to me, the WhatsApp is also in the description and in the first comment of the video, okay? And I need you to subscribe, and I also need your like. Flydeck Briefing, aviation recruitment and selection worldwide, is here every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Now let's move on to the 5th question. A tough question. If you are not selected in this process, what will you do? The wrong answer, for example, I'm a veterinarian. Look, if I'm not selected at this time, here in this Singapore Airlines selection, I'll resume my career as a veterinarian, look for a job in the field, and pursue the second vocation that I have. Wrong answer. Correct answer. If I'm not selected in this Singapore Airlines process, I'll seek to understand where I failed, why I failed, and seek improvements on those points. Aviation is always about improvement. Any airline in the world seeks improvements. Why do you think aviation is safe? Because it has improved all the time, and it seeks improvement all the time. So you go along those lines. And I will resubmit my application in a short time after I understand the reasons for the rejection and improve the points that caused me to fail this selection. That's what the recruiter from Singapore Air India, Qantas, LATAM, United Airlines, American Airlines, Air Canada, Air France. That's what they want to hear, okay? Now, the sixth question. What would you do if you had a passenger on your flight who didn't want to comply with safety regulations? Every time you go to an interview as a cabin crew member and a situational question comes up, what would you do? How would you act? And what way would you think? Already bring that answer to a practical example, what I call a STAR example, okay? STAR is situation, task, action, and result. So there's no point in just giving theoretical answers, okay? It's important for you to bring your answer into practice. And then I could bring an answer. For example, if the passenger didn't want to comply with safety regulations, always work the answer from the first, second, and third point. I could say, look, at first, I would talk to this passenger, politely explain the importance of that procedure of fastening seatbelts during takeoff. In a second moment, if I noticed he was being resistant, I would approach him again and be a bit more direct. For example, Mr. Martinez, did you understand the importance of the seatbelt? I would like you to buckle your seatbelt, please. And in a third instance, if he didn't comply with safety procedures, I'd call the lead flight attendant and the cockpit to take the necessary measures. Then you provide an example, like there was an instance when I was with a client and you share from your professional field. How did you mediate a conflict with a customer? That is the perfect kind of answer. The seventh question, one of those tougher questions for you, cabin crew members. Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? Okay? It's an easy answer, okay? It's very important to mention that you see yourself within the company, working as a cabin crew member, okay? And try to bring up some dreams, some personal goals that you intend to achieve as well. So I could say, I'm currently in a selection process, then write down your dream airline here, where you want to work, so I can use it as an example too, okay? I work with 45 today, so there are many airlines. But I could mention, if I were in the Ryanair selection, I could say, look, in 5 years, my career goal is to be at Ryanair as a flight attendant, learning, developing myself, and serving with great joy. And on the personal side, I imagine that I would like to help my mother get a new house, because it's a dream of hers, and also help my brother, who is currently studying pharmacy at university, and I'd like to help him with his professional training goal. Those are my goals for 5 years, to continue working at the company, and a dream that you share with people you care about. It's the most ideal answer, I would say, okay? Recruiters from international airlines, they are terrified. They're very afraid that you won't stay there for very long. Training from the airline for new flight attendants is expensive. So they need you to stay a long time. They need to have that security. That's why there's this question. And the eighth question, what would you do if you had a conflict with a teammate? Okay? It's another answer where it's no use bringing up theories or explanations. Give a STAR example. Normally, I'm very calm, and I can be quite professional in everything I do. I've had disagreements with colleagues, and I always resolve them through dialogue, and by focusing on a good customer experience and the rules and protocols the company provides. I'll give you an example, and then you give an example of a conflict you had with a client, with a coworker, and how you resolved it. Now, many people are afraid of the interview, but they forget about the group dynamic stages. The group dynamic stages sometimes fail 55% of the candidates. And I'll leave a complete manual here for you to pass the group stages of the world's major airlines as well, in this video right here. Go watch it. It'll help you a lot. Good luck preparing for your interview. Take care and see you later. Bye.